binging the show Vikings. I'm way late to the party, which I often am. I resisted the show, and I know probably you, well, not you, because I have 0 views, but the theoretical you that I just make up in my mind probably thinks I'm a wuss because I particularly don't like rape. That's just not pleasant for me to watch. I don't know why we need to put that in movies. It seems to be, there just seems to be a lot of sick fucks out there that just like watching it. They put the shit like in all kinds of movies and shows and stuff. And boy, does Vikings love to depict rape. They pretty much, I think I have a rape scene in episode 1, episode 2, and I love the show. Let me get that out of the way, but I'm going to try to give you my honest opinion of aspects. There's certain aspects which you just expect in our day and age that they're going to basically favor the pagans. They're going to always favor the enemies of our civilization, and they're definitely going to depict every Christian as a hypocrite, horrible person. They're, according to Hollywood and whatever other filmmaking entities there are. I think this thing was like a Canadian operation that made the show. They're farther left than Hollywood. So according to them, there's never been a legitimate Christian. Every Christian's a hypocrite. They're all secretly cheating on their wives and everything. You just expect that kind of stuff. The show is totally from the point of view of pagans. That's just what we're dealing with now in our time. So some of that's just whatever. But the gratuitous rape scenes and some of the gratuitous violence. I mean, granted, I know what you're going to say is it's a show about Vikings. But yeah, I get that, but it doesn't have to be that graphic all the time, you know what I mean? But other than that, I love the show right up until Ragnar dies. And I know it's such a cliche thing to say that, it's kind of like The Office after Michael Scott. But it's a cliche because it's true. I mean, The Office was terrible after Michael Scott. And I watched it through because... And I'm kind of sad to admit this. I mean, I kind of don't have a life. I get emotionally attached to these shows. I admit it. And so I pretty much had to see The Office to the end, even though it became a chore. It became like, watching your friend get cancer and just waste away. And you don't want to watch that, but you have to. That's your friend, man. You're going to stick to the end. So that's how it was with The Office on those last couple of seasons without Michael Scott. And I feel the same way now. I think I'm in season 5. I don't know if I'm halfway through a couple episodes into season 5, I guess. And it's basically like the show's over, You're just watching like a shell of the show. And we got like a season and a half to go. And I'm already just seeing the show is just not as good. Not even close to as good as it was with Ragnar. It's basically just like a husk of itself, like I said. It's starting to get really cartoonish. Like they made up this cartoonish Christian guy that he's kind of a badass, but then of course, because we can't ever be on the side of the Christians, he's a hypocrite. He's a bishop, but he's going around sleeping with, he's abusing his power to sleep with women and stuff like that. He can't just be a good Christian because according, again, to the entertainment industry, no such thing has ever existed. So he's a hypocrite. But they do kind of try to make him out to be a good warrior and stuff. But of course, he ultimately loses to the Vikings, which some of it is driven by history. They're covering the Great Heathen Army, which, did win a lot of victories until it was ultimately defeated. So I assume that at some point in season 5 or 6, the Great Heathen Army will be defeated by Alfred. But right now, it's like every time the Saxons seem like they're gathering their strength, it just turns out that Ivar is just too smart for him. He just tricks him every time. But I loved the show when Ragnar was on, like almost too much. Like, I mean, they made Ragnar such a lovable character that, yeah, it was like I was cheering for the Vikings. But that all changed. Like now, I think it shows you how bad the writing is now. I'm back to being all in for the Saxons. You know, I guess I'm still supposed to be cheering for the Vikings, but no. Ivar is just, a comic book villain. Again, yeah, that bishop guy that was supposed to, whatever he's supposed to be, he's just a comic book character. But overall, I can't wait to see the Vikings get their comeuppance. And that was the complete opposite with Ragnar. I mean, I basically loved Ragnar. I mean, it actually made me pretty sad. I had like a day when I watched the episode where he died. I kind of had a day, man. I was like kind of down that day. And like everyone else, I loved the speech. I was going around my house quoting the speech, telling my wife that it gladdens me that she prepares for a feast, and soon I will be drinking root beer from glass bottles and stuff. So I did that whole thing. But it's a pretty good show. I like it. Again, and until Ragnar died, that was pretty much the show. But yeah, it's pretty good. If you've seen it, let me know what you think. You probably disagree. I mean, most people do. That's just society we live in. Most people watching this probably think that we need to respect paganism and putting it on equal footing with Christianity and everything. Or maybe maybe they're really cool and they're actual pagans now. I think that's like a thing. So whatever. Let me know. Bye.